wellness in itself is a balance of multiple things. So for me, it's strength, endurance, self-care, yoga, quality time with people I love. Another definition of wellness for me is constantly improving, trying to be a better version of myself as willing to admit that I needed help was also like mental toughness for me because I thought that I was being so tough by not getting help. We all can do what we can do, right? Little by little by little. Like I had found, the band was one way of me finding a release and having that own therapy that way, right? The shows, the dancing, the movement, getting it all out that way. And then growing into like training and finding that empowerment that way. And talk therapy and then reading and then yoga. Like it's all a process that it builds and it leads you to the next step. That's what's beautiful about it. Yeah.
Great. Welcome to the Collaborative Resource Hub by Wellness Provisions. We're bridging the gap between mental health, wellness, and rock and roll. I'm Amy McBride, owner of Wellness Provisions, the most badass wellness business. Hey, are you feeling a little stuck in life? I offer wellness coaching sessions. Book a session with me if you're seeking to get healthy and ahead. Sessions are available worldwide. And check this out. Wellness Provisions supplies rock and rollers with high-quality supplements. We've simplified your shopping experience and given you a trustworthy place to go where you can essentially shop blindfolded. And did you know all our Collaborative Resource Hub interviews air on YouTube as well as all major podcast platforms? Subscribe to stay in the loop. Go immerse yourself in the full Collaborative Resource Hub experience over on our website. You'll have access to helpful resources that will inspire and educate you. So let's inspire each other. If that guy did it, so can you. Last but not least, my legal disclaimer. Nothing in this interview or the Collaborative Resource Hub substitutes medical advice. Please connect with your GP if you need medical guidance. Candace from Walls of Jericho, how are you?
Hi, I'm doing well. A little nervous. It's been a minute since I've done an interview, especially a visual recording one,
Yeah, there's that whole other element. So yes. You look beautiful though. So it's fine.
Honestly.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So you've got the whole post-workout glow going on.
Yeah, it's a routine every Thursday at 9:30. There's 3 of us that go to the gym together, 3 ladies. And what's amazing about it is that I have an 11-year-old and Amanda has a 7-year-old. And so the girls get to hang out together and see their strong moms hanging out and doing things. And it's just been this past year, they've really actually jumped in themselves. They have their own little whiteboard, they create a workout and they do it side by side. So it's pretty fantastic.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So all of the 7-year-olds, she does locally. There's these little runs for age groups, and she's been participating in the past year. And just recently, she got number 1. She won her race for the very first time, and it was so cool to see that, how putting together their little strength training, body weight strength trainings they've been doing in the gym have facilitated the success for her. So it's great for them to see.
Yeah, yeah.
The hard work. Yeah.
What did she do to celebrate winning?
I think they always get ice cream. Ice cream's probably is a great way to celebrate no matter what.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
There's never a wrong time for ice cream, so for sure.
Yeah.
So I guess let me ask you this. What does wellness mean to you?
To me, it goes hand in hand with self-care, balance. It's obviously a very big, broad word that has many meanings to it. So just like everything else, wellness in itself is a balance of multiple things. So for me, it's strength, endurance, self-care, yoga, quality time with people I love, things that I'm not good at, like drinking enough water, but getting in my daily coffee and possible nighttime hot chocolate because it fills my soul, things like that.
Yeah. What kind of hot chocolate do you make?
Oh my gosh. I wish I said sometimes it's very fancy hot chocolate, and that's only if the people who know me well, they gift me that. Otherwise it's just the basic hot chocolate that I buy from whatever store. And then I love heavy whipping cream. So it's kind of have my own concoction.
Yeah. Oh, that's good. So I do, I make a hot chocolate, bone broth hot chocolate,
Oh,
but it's this bone broth. It's not, like I don't make the bone broth. Well, I do make bone broth, but not for this. But it's a vanilla flavored powder.
okay.
So I do coconut milk and then add a scoop of the vanilla bone broth, and then just like a bunch of like cacao and sometimes like, like functional mushrooms and stuff. And
Okay.
it's like hot chocolate. It's awesome.
That is sounds way healthier than mine, and I would be willing to try it because taken that's just going to promote better health is good. Yes.
Well, that's it. And you add the bone broth, and then like you've got the protein to help balance out, some of the sugar and stuff. So it's
True.
fine.
True. I will be wanting that recipe later.
Yeah. And then sometimes I'll add cacao butter to it as well. So it's got like the good fats, and it has like like an actual chocolate kind of scent and flavor to it.
Yeah. Nice. A
Yeah.
ton. I like it. It sounds good and totally different. And I always love butter. So
So this is sort of a question, like a follow-up to the general, what does wellness mean to you? Because has there been like a time, I guess, in your life, or it could even be like it's happened multiple times, where you've had to put yourself first, you've had to focus on yourself and make yourself a priority, otherwise you were just gonna like fall apart?
yeah, it was a lot easier honestly to do when I was younger, like, take that time to like really focus on yourself. When I think it wasn't till I was 26 that I actually first stepped into therapy, like actual talk therapy. And I remember that year was really big for me to have days where I like took myself out on a date type of thing. I'd go do yoga, I'd go see a movie, I'd go eat, like I turned my phone off completely. And just having that time for myself to listen to myself while I was also like processing all the information and the work that I was doing in therapy. And then I try to take those tools with me. It's a process. It's challenging. I guess another thing, definition of wellness for me is like constantly improving, is, just trying to be a better version of myself as I can go along with it. So, I have an 11-year-old. It's a little harder to like take very selfish time for myself, but I do try to make sure that I think about what I need and try to get that in with it throughout the week, because sometimes it's not like daily, but sometimes it's weekly. So
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah. So I try to do that.
But that's a thing that, I mean, I don't have kids.
Mhm.
I'm not a mom, but I feel from an outside perspective, it seems like if you have kids, like because I mean, I don't know if it was like jokingly or whatever, but calling it selfish time, but it's you need
Yeah.
to like fortify yourself. Otherwise, what can you give your family and your kids?
No, I completely agree. And I don't honestly put a negative turn on selfish time like that saying, because I think it's important to have that like
Yeah.
time or, so because I do agree with that. If you don't take care of you, you can't take care of others, so there will be times where like I have to be more vocal. I know that I have to be more vocal about what I'm needing in the moment too. So, and there, we all do that and trying to allow for each other to have space to do that as well. But the band is honestly a big part of that for me now. Like I had pulled away from doing much with the band once I had my daughter. I didn't feel very good about leaving her. I wanted to create a different lifestyle than I had growing up. And to me, that meant being there and being present. So the band kind of like was only part time. And then as I grew with that, and then realizing there were also other things that I needed, I also had to like make space for that. So I like actually pulled back on the band a little bit because all of my vacation time or all of my off time was for the band and like not like with my family or not for me, so but then now it's like I had thought, okay, maybe it was something I couldn't do, and then I realized I sat down, honestly it was this year while I had COVID. I like sat down, I like had to sit, I had to sit and like really think about like, what do I want? What things do I want in my life? And I feel too guilty doing them this way. So how can I do it so that I don't feel guilty and that I can fit in my life? Like I want to go on vacations that my daughter possibly can't participate in because they'll be too strenuous for her, because I enjoy outdoor hiking, things like that.
Yeah.
I don't feel good doing that while she's in school. Right. So I was like, I will make an effort to do that while she's on vacation. It's just like talking to yourself and reasoning with yourself, and like, deciding what's important, prioritizing it. But it's always a process. I'm 42. I'm still working.
Well, I mean, and that's what I say. Like, I mean, unless you're dead or a monk, you're always going to be growing. And plus, like, you keep growing and shifting, which means you're gonna have to keep revising the path forward.
Right. Like the reason you're doing things, the why you're doing things is going to constantly change, and even what you're doing is going to change. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, and like those changes, I mean, like that's the growth that you want, because you continue to redefine. It's like failure, like it means it's giving you an opportunity to tweak something for
Yes.
better success next.
I completely agree. We were just, I went to a really awesome thing over the weekend. It was a symposium for it's a gym, but it's so much more than a gym. It's a whole like philosophy on movement, and they're called nonprofit. And it was just like so beautiful, so open, so vulnerable. Like there was this curriculum, there wasn't this harsh curriculum. It was like, we are going to have an open conversation, and we want everyone to be a part of it. Right. And a huge thing that we took from it was just really the why, and like sitting back and like addressing that and giving it attention. Like, why am I needing this self-care, or why am I needing this in my life, and adjusting it according to like what is going to be sustainable. But a big thing that I took away from it was how in our culture our why is it's I don't want to say, I'm trying not to be too negative about how I feel about it.
I want to say it's so externally focused.
It's so externally focused. It can use an adjustment, that's for sure. Like, I mean, something as simple as like, I train an athlete, she's a football player. She has like back herniations, knee problems. She has all these things that are not good for her well-being eventually down the road, for her quality of life. Do they care like they should? And it's like not even like answering that question. It's like, why don't they care? Because our culture is very focused on winning and some external measurement that really in the end doesn't mean anything. And training is the same way, because I'm a coach. Like I get people who come in and like their goal is, I want to look like this. It's this external goal that like we need to reframe why we want a good life. We want a sustainable one. We want it, whatever movement we're doing in the gym, to facilitate our life outside of the gym. Right. And if you just throw this like vain external reasoning behind it, we're not setting ourselves up for success.
It's got no legs. It's got no legs if it's because like, I mean, years ago, that was me. I work out so that I look good for this guy or whatever. And then I'm like, things fall apart with him. So then I'm like, well, then fuck exercising. Like that's all wrong.
Yeah. Right. Or I mean, I am also a victim of that too. Like when I was younger, it was so much about looking a certain way. We can't help it because our culture is revolved around that. So we're not like weak just because we thought that way, like we are, what was it? It was like, I would almost reach my goal and then I would self-sabotage, because I think somewhere inside, I knew that end goal was not going to make me happy. Happiness was not going to come from that. And so I didn't want to be disappointed. And I didn't want to like feel crushed that I didn't feel happy, right? So it wasn't even that I didn't want to feel crushed that I didn't get abs, because I didn't want to feel crushed because it didn't change my life and raise me to this higher level. Because it's like somewhere inside of me, I knew it wasn't going to happen. So if I could self-sabotage, I can continue to repeat. And then I found strength training which turned into powerlifting for me, because powerlifting is the competitiveness of strength training. So I never competed in anything until I was like 30. So it was really interesting to bring that into my life. But it absolutely changed my focus on myself and my body, because it was no longer about what it looked like or people pleasing or anything. It was all about what it could do for me and like
Yeah.
wrong. Yeah. And it like, an amazing thing. And I think especially for women, I would always promote some sort of strength training, because what happens to your body when you're using weights that are challenging or you're pushing yourself is what happens to your metabolism, all these things that we cannot get from just cardio. Like, yeah. So it's like less time spent in the gym, more time out doing the things that we love, and just feeling good about the accomplishments we made for the day that have nothing to do with what we look like. Yeah.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
that's it. It's just having like these little internal wins and knowing that like you did something good for yourself and like you reached whatever goal, and it's just like a goal for yourself, not
Yeah.
how someone else sees you.
Yeah. And to go even dive just a little deeper into the why, right, is because I hear a lot of people's views on what they think about like power lifters, or you see somebody who wants to live strong and you think like gym rat, right? Or you think like there's an ego that's attached to that. Like, and this is not, this is definitely not everybody. I'm not saying it's just a gender thing either, but like for me, when I started powerlifting, I was like 115 pounds. I was a small female, but I wanted to feel powerful and I wanted to feel secure. And I wanted not to feel vulnerable physically. And that was like a huge motivation for me, that someone could take me down and I could at least have a chance to fight, right? Like, it's so important to feel strong enough to get through your life in multiple ways. And maybe a little part of that's because I came from Detroit. Like, you just you want to feel, yeah,
Probably.
like you want to feel like you can hold your own. And so it's like, as a female, not only just like us having to rise above all of the different things that happen in our culture that we are fighting against, but also to be able to hold your ground, mentally, physically, like all these different ways. So my reasoning for strength training and powerlifting, I feel, was very different than most that I've come across. And then that helped drive me. So it was a lot of heart and less ego.
Yeah.
Actually helped me go further than the average Joe. When I moved to Ohio, I trained under someone that I respected and who was like my size. And she was one of the strongest women in the world, Laura Phelps. And her attitude, she was so humble and she was just like so giving to the community that I was like, there was no pedestal. Nope, we are here. We're all here. We're all working hard. And I loved it. And I loved the environment so much. I was like, I'm moving. That's when I went to Ohio.
Yeah.
So and worked out at the sweatshop with them and their crew. But because all of the women and I mean the men they are amazing too. Like, everybody at that gym was amazing and so hardworking. We all got to our pro records pretty quickly, and because we had no ego holding us back. We were all there to like learn and absorb. And like, she told us to do something and we believed in her and we did it.
Yeah.
There was no like, oh, I'm not going to do this because that's lame. And like my ego is hurt, or, from doing that. It was just like, we gave it our all and we put all that aside and we thrived faster, so it was really cool to see as well.
Well, and I imagine that you supported each other, which makes like a massive difference too.
Yes, yes. I grew up being, I don't know what it is, but I love diving into male dominated worlds. That's how I'm always like, what is wrong with me? Is this like, what am I doing to myself? So it's really not about proving anything, but like, I feel like we need to be there, and being around strong, supportive women was very different for me coming out of a van that like with 6 men. And, I think there were 6 of us, so 5 men in total for years. I started in that band when I was 18. I was still in high school. I literally dropped out of high school to do the band. Like,
Wow.
there is a lot going on. Like for me, there was a lot of like male influence, we wanted to tour and that was what I knew I wanted to do. And I was living on my own. So I tried to go to school, work, and do the band, and it all kind of I couldn't balance it. I think I actually like failed all my classes because I missed too many days. So I attempted to do it, and I ended up getting my GED later. But that was my passion. That's where my road was. I knew that's where my road was going. So like I left school, I joined the band, and I like got in a car with a bunch of men for a very long time. And there was as amazing. They were amazing. But there is always those little cultural differences, those little gender differences of like, oh, can we get a female to come on the road with us? Oh, well, we got lucky with you. Like all these, like, just like little things that impacted how I felt about other women, and I was like, oh, okay. I became very shut off to a lot of like females. I didn't want to be perceived as a female. I got asked if I was a feminist once. I definitely said no, because you can't be a feminist, like, and be, back in like 2000, like, and it was challenging, but then it was so inspiring and like heart opening to like be around females that just want to push you to make you better. And I realized like I need to embrace, like really embrace this version of myself and be able to call myself a feminist and like really understand where this is going. And I don't know, it was just it definitely changed my life being able to train with a bunch of women that were supportive.
Cool. Yeah. So I mean, that's it. I mean, it's like I feel like all of these kinds of experiences, like, I don't know, they're there. You just haven't gotten to them yet.
Yes.
I don't know. It's just
with the guys to be able to see, like, have a comparison. Yes. Yeah. Absolutely. And I still love them to death till this day. They are like my brothers, and and it's wonderful to watch each other grow. And they're also very supportive as well. But like being around females, there's just like, it's just another level. It's another level.
Yeah. I agree with that.
Yep.
So if someone were to work with you, like to do like, like training with you, and because this is kind of going back to what we were talking about before, and their why, their purpose for it was a little less developed, I guess. Yeah. How would you challenge them to go deeper?
Yeah, I mean, that is a conversation, right? And it is something that we're really talking about at the symposium, because it's so hard. It's so challenging to get people to like kind of dig deeper and to care about themselves more than we care about them, because we want, it's like because this needs to be a partnership. So I would just keep like asking little questions here and there, and then find little wins for them that are different than their one goal. Like just try to open that door of all these other things. And really, sometimes it's about that like tough love, and then I get to choose as well. Like if we're not in sync and we're too far off and I can't like lead them into a better, it's not going to be successful for either of us. And it's going to be also detrimental for me, because my mental health matters too. And if I'm like, if we're banging heads the whole time, that's, we both deserve to be around people that, are going to help us grow. So I care about them and I would want to find them a different trainer. But I think I had a woman reach out that was like a bodybuilder. She wanted to do like a bikini show. And a lot of times people want to do that, or this situation, she wanted to do that to help her like get in the mode to get her six pack and like get moving, get her motivated. And I just don't believe in that, because it's too fast, too soon. It's not going to be sustainable. Usually people aren't emotionally ready to handle all of the things that come along with it, because you're not just working out. And then I don't personally believe it's healthy for your body. I don't like cutting and then regaining. I don't like dehydrating the body. Like, I think that, sustainable living is the best way to go. Now, if you want to like put in some time and effort and like get close to that first and then move forward because you need an extra challenge, that is totally fine. It's a different story than like, I got 9 months and I want to dive right in and get this done. And I'm like, okay, I'm not the person for you. So like that have boundaries, and which is important, right? Because then I'm showing them that they also can have boundaries and that they need to find somebody that, and I'd rather help them find somebody who's going to get them there, than I'm not here to lie. Just because the industry lies to us doesn't mean that the coaches all need to lie to us. Because that's again, what's the why of the industry? To get money and to win. But that is not how our bodies work. And that's how training works. And it's the quick pill, right? It's just not how it works. That hard is the right road. And a lot of people don't have time for it, which is okay too. I think that's the important part to remember that it's okay if you can't look like that other person. And if you can't read, so many of those people are like doing 2-a-days and like don't have kids and like have all this time and are getting paid to look that way. Like, why do we think that we can achieve that also with our like regular jobs and our daily, like, it's just, again, just adjusting the why we're there. What's the end goal?
And and really, I feel like it just continues to just dial down to like, how do you want to feel? Like, looking like that but like, how do you feel when you look like that? And like, that's what you're focusing on.
Absolutely. Exactly.
Yeah. Here's an advert in less than 20 seconds. Did you know that Wellness Provisions offers one-on-one wellness sessions? Yep. So if you're seeking to get healthy and ahead in life, but feeling a little stuck, then book a session and let's get you unstuck. Now back to the interview. What does mental toughness mean to you?
Mental toughness for me is just not quitting on myself, but also assessing beforehand what is going to be too much, right? So it's not in the middle of it being surprised and going, oh, I need to quit, because quitting is what's going to be healthy for me right now, because that is going to happen sometimes, right? But if we can assess beforehand so that we don't have to do that to ourselves, that we know ourselves enough to be able to plan ahead, right? And make whatever experience we're doing successful. So here's a good example. I could be doing a workout. I did one at the nonprofit, right? And it was extremely tough. I don't normally come close to throwing up, but I was like riding that edge the whole time. And that's where I know I can do it. I just have to not quit on myself and continue to ride that edge, that like nothing detrimental is going to happen to me. I am still safe, so that's mental toughness in that situation. We also, before we went there, we were in Colorado. We went to go do a 14,000er called Capitol Peak. I've been reading about it. I've been watching YouTube videos on people doing it. It's so hard to like gauge what things actually look like from a photo or a YouTube video. So I had even said like beforehand, we're going to get there and I'm going to assess what it looks like. And I'm going to decide if something I felt I can do. And we got there. It was beautiful. And I looked at it and I was like, that is not a question I need answered. That is like not where I am at yet. Like, it is a ton of exposure where it's like 2,000 feet on each side. And like, for me, things like that, like I know I'll have to be turned on, and it could take like 3 to 4 hours to do. And I was like, I know that is going to be too much focus for too long for me in this moment. Like, I have not trained exposure enough. So to me, that's mental toughness of being able to like assess beforehand and go, I'm not there yet. And that's okay. Instead of like going and getting hurt or going and needing to get rescued. Like,
but that's like, that's like a life motto too, is having enough self-awareness and like, I don't know what the word is. I'm drawing a blank on what the word would be, but knowing when something is too much and owning that and being okay with that.
Yeah, because to me, that's is the being okay is the mental toughness, because we feel like we have to like give in, and we don't want to be left behind, or we don't want to like wuss out. Like, we have to be like, we have to hold our ground, and know ourselves, and make that decision. And then what I was thinking of, another way that's like mental toughness. Oh, when I was a teenager, I was like, I came from a family that we did not cry. You don't cry. I'll give you a reason to cry. It's not very healthy. um, but I did turn that into like my relationships. Like if anybody was showing vulnerability, like I was not comfortable with that, and I would be like, "You can't cry," and I would. But at one point, I remember someone they said something to me about how it was okay to cry, like, and that I was wrong for telling him not to. And at that point, I realized that I did not know everything, and I did not have all of the tools. And that, like, I looked at why am I even like thinking this way? And willing to admit that I needed help was also like mental toughness for me at that point, because I thought that I was being so tough by not getting help. Do you know what I mean?
But you only know what you know at that
Right.
time too. So can I ask if there's anything that helped you? Because I mean, a lot of people I think struggle with that vulnerability, because like seems like so many people have such challenging upbringings that they've been through. And so was there anything that helped you really a lot in that area that you would want to share on?
Yeah. One is probably a bit challenging for most people to do, because um it I had a child, and that changed my perspective. So I can't really suggest that to everybody, right? But no, really, um something that allowed me to be vulnerable was her love, and like me understanding that what kind of self-talk do I want her to have. And it kind of helped me realize like my internal conversation wasn't very healthy. And then and I kind of brought it, what would I want Patsy to do? What would I want Patsy to do? How would I want her to react? Like that was a really cool tool that was very unexpected for me to use. But you can do that with, I guess, like a best friend. It's a tool you could use, like, well, how would I want my best friend to like talk to herself, or like feel about the situation, or feel about herself in the situation, right? Um, that was cool. And then little doses. So I would extend a little bit of vulnerability, and it's being in a safe enough environment with people that like gave me back positive experience with it. So it was just like being brave enough and willing enough to like extend just a little. And then it's like every positive experience you had kind of fills your cup up a little bit more to open up. And then I had, as crazy as it sounds, I had my divorce kind of did something for me as well, like recognizing myself within that relationship, and like how I participated in it, and like how much more I knew I could have given myself, which would be giving them, right? So and it was something I had decided that within my next relationship, I was just going to be more open and vocal about how I felt about things, and like take that risk instead of holding back, because obviously that doesn't really get you anywhere. It's the try, remembering the why and the try, and that like you are good enough to try these things. So, and therapy was obviously also very helpful. So talking through again my why, and figuring out little ways to extend yourself to get it back. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, like, because I grew up, I think it was finally like in my mid 20s that I was never a hugger. I did not like hugging people.
Okay.
And so and I mean, I worked in Whole Foods forever for like, I don't know, 11, 12 years, something like that. And so it was like in my mid 20s, and like everyone, it's like high school. Whole Foods is like high school when you work there. And like, but it was like a joke. People would be like, oh, she doesn't hug, or don't give her a hug, whatever. But then I started observing, I'm like, okay, hugging is like a thing people do. And so I would start like hugging people more, friends and stuff like that, like when you see them.
Yeah.
And now I hug people. So it
Yeah.
is like, it's kind of like, I guess it's realizing like, do I want to be here, or do I want to be here? And then like it's baby steps for sure.
Right. It's definitely baby steps. Yeah. And having like positive experiences with it, which is kind of how we address the gym too, right? You want to like give they're doing a full new movement they've never done before. It's not going to be perfect and they're going to be hard on themselves, and like giving them positive reinforcement, and like we call it a compliment sandwich, where you're like giving a compliment, giving a critique, and then give them a compliment, because people need to have good experiences to want to continue to have good experiences, right? So, which is so funny about the hugs, like, like when we were younger, right? It would be like, you need to hug somebody, you need to say this, you need to hug, and with my daughter, I'm like, do you want to hug them? It's okay for you to say no and not hug them. Like, it's like, it's
Yeah.
knowing you have the choice as well. But I like that because I still am not a huge hugger. But I think it's because I'm also a little awkward with social cues. So I'm like, okay, let me hug, let me give you a handshake. I'm not sure. Where are we at? Are we on that emotional level? But you're right. It's like, just dive in, just
Yeah.
dive.
And that's what I do. I just like, I embrace the awkwardness. So I just sort of turn it into being a little silly.
I
And
like
then,
that.
like from working in retail for so many years, I have, to me, it's like I'm flipping a switch and I'm being like professional me or whatever, where it's almost like what do you call it? Like someone who has not another personality, but like
Oh, I know what
an
you
alter
mean.
ego.
Yes, another ego. Yep. Yep.
That.
Slide your mask on and yes. Yep. Yeah, they're cool.
Yeah. And it was so like a deliberate thing for so long, but now it's just apparently just also who I am, where, it's like I can be super confident and okay in like social situations, whereas before it was so like I had to try so hard.
Right. Right. Well, you built a habit, which is so much about it. Yes. Building small habits little by little. Yep.
That's exactly yeah, for sure. I didn't even think of it that way. That's it. And yeah,
But
I mean like you're rewiring your brain.
yes. Yep. Yeah, it's cool. It's cool because it's never ending. You can continue to do that forever. Like, I love that, like, we're kind of out of that whole, like, as you get older, you lose brain cells and you can't develop and you don't learn and can't teach old dogs new tricks. Like, it's like so bullshit. And there's like so much growth that can continue to happen. I have an older couple that I train. I mean, they're like reframing, like, even like where I was at with training, like what life is about and what training is about. They are a couple that had believed, they realized that either we're going to pay you to help us feel good and have a good quality of life, or we're going to pay our insurance later. Like, which one are we going to invest in, right? Invest in our sickness or invest in our health? Like, I mean, I was like, yeah, that's exactly why we're here. And taking them from feeling like they can't do these movements, because in our lives, like, how often do we get up and down off the ground? Not very often. Like, these little movements we lose, we don't realize it. And just to be able to get them to go from like barely lunging to like walking across the room with weight, and like to see them develop at this like older age and to see their confidence build and their strength build. She had a bone density test before she started with me, and then she just got another one a few years later and she's up 6%. Like, that does not happen to females. Like, they were like, this is huge. And then he has like really bad arthritis in his knees, and so your arthritis doesn't just get better, like it continues to get worse. There's not like, it doesn't stop. But you can have pain management for it through exercise. And so when he went back to go get x-rays again, they were astounded that he felt better than before the last time they saw him, but his arthritis has advanced worse. So they're like, whatever you're doing, keep doing it. Like, that's so much of what it is about, is like, how do we manage these things so we could have a good quality of life and really continue to live our lives all the way through, So I don't know. And they're learning. So it's like, not only are they like becoming stronger and becoming healthier, but your brain is also learning new things while you're doing it. Like, I love that. I love
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. I just like, I want more people, because with what I do in the coaching and stuff, I run into a lot of people who feel like their mindset is fixed. My past sucked, and, this is shitty, and like, this is it. This is my brain. And
Yeah.
I'm like, neuroplasticity, like, come on.
Right.
So like, I just wish more people would embrace the fact that like it's baby steps, but you can create a different brain.
Right. I know. Like, I'm going to be honest. So for me, like, I've done the talk therapy, and then there is a lot of trauma from my past that I'm still dealing with it, and it's more reactivity to that trauma that is like in my brain, because the body keeps the score.
Yep,
Yeah.
I got that book. Yeah.
Yeah. So I have the auto version, and I was like audible version. I was listening to it, and he is talking about how for some people with very traumatic situations that you're no longer looking when the memory comes up, it's not a photograph, right? It's an actual visceral response. And like that is where like you don't have much control over that, right? And like so what I was able to take away from that book is yoga because like I'm not great with meditation. That does not work for like just quiet sitting meditation. But I do believe that you can really move trauma out of the body through movement, and him talking about yoga as a way of relaxation instead of exercise. And I was like, so it totally changed my way that I looked at yoga, because I was like, yoga, Pilates, it's all the same thing. Like it's just this the industry selling us what some other things, like, but like no, the using the breath as a way to like release stress, using that movement as a way to release stress, to actually de-stress, which is like we don't do that in any other aspect of our life besides like sleep, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like sleeping is healing our body, but like exercise is good for our body and releases stress, but it also causes stress. And it's like these, yeah, so it's a good stress doesn't mean it's bad. It's like cholesterol, right? Not all
Right.
cholesterol, but we need these things, right? But how do we like counteract it? And there is not enough information out there about neuroplasticity. Like I don't know enough about it. Like I'm intrigued by it. Like what is the other one? MD, the eye movement.
That's what I was, kind of waiting for a pause to mention and say that, the rapid eye movement desensitization thing, like that's supposed to be phenomenal. I've heard, and someone else actually I just recently interviewed, she swears by it too.
Yeah, because I've started like doing a little bit of research and like looking for places around. And I'll tell you though, sometimes it's like feels very overwhelming. So it's really nice to have a resource that you trust, to be like, it would be like someone trying to find a personal trainer. There's so many out there. It's like, how do you know what is going to be good?
Yeah.
So this is not our like field, of expertise. It's like more your field of expertise. So like, it's trusting the people that you're talking to and like getting that information from them, because the resource is huge.
But at some point, it's also a matter of fucking start. Just do it. Pick someone and start, and then regroup if you need to and go from there. But like, because I feel like that's a big thing too. People are like, they do, it's overwhelming and you don't know where to begin, but you just got to jump, pick a trainer, pick a therapist.
Right. No, it's true. And I know that, which it's like, I do know that, right? Like I've been through some therapists, and like, there is the way that industry itself is just a little harsh and overwhelming. Also, I don't know how. I have gone through 4 therapists at one place, because therapists left, right? Like they moved on to a new clinic. They don't take the insurance that you use at that clinic. Like then what you get to do, especially as someone who's got trauma, is you get to re-experience all that trauma all over again when you tell your story, which like there's a lot of information out there saying that that's not also the best way to handle it, right? So it can be challenging for people to trust, right? But I think that you're a great resource. You are going to kick me in the right, you're kicking me in the butt a little bit right now with this. And I do agree. That's probably the next thing, next self-care thing that I need to do is just jump into the rapid eye movement stuff, I think.
Yeah, for real. And I guess for, whoever's listening, it's the interview with Violet from Destroy Boys. She's the one who talks about it. And a lot of, and that whole conversation with her was like so wonderful, because I think she's like 22 or something, and that girl is like, she's a wise one, and her reflections on therapy are so powerful, and she talks about the, the rapid eye movement stuff, and what it's doing, is it's like it's creating that gap between the feeling and the memory.
Yes, the pause that is very hard to have on your own. Absolutely. That makes sense. Because I mean, what I'd read about it is that it's turning that visceral memory back into a picture. Right. And this is just like we were talking, is part of the process. Like we all can do what we can do, right? Little by little by little. Like I had found, the band was one way of me finding a release and having that own therapy that way. Right. And the band and that kind of like the shows, the dancing, the movement, getting it all out that way. And then growing into like training and finding that empowerment that way, and talk therapy, and then reading, and then yoga. Like it's all a process that it builds, and it leads you to the next step. That's what's beautiful about it. Yeah.
Agreed. Yeah, that's what I love about it too, is it's like each thing, like when the opportunity is right for you, it's there,
Yep. Absolutely. Thanks.
So is there a quote that you like a lot?
Yes. One that I've liked for a very long time. I believe when I signed up for Facebook, like I don't even know how long ago that was. I actually no, I know, because it was like 2010 or something. Because I was like, oh, I was totally against Facebook, and I didn't do MySpace. Like I just didn't like that realm of communication. And I moved to Massachusetts from Michigan, and I was like, damn it, I need to get, I'm going to start Facebook. I'm going to like patients. I'm going to make that effort. Right. And it has on there, like, what's one of your favorite quotes? And it's like still standing. And it's the well-behaved women rarely make history by Laurel Thatcher Ulrich. Yeah. It was so fitting at that time for my life, because like everything I did was just like extreme and like I don't know, unladylike. So, and I was doing everything I could to like make my mark and like punch my way through the door, in hardcore. Like so yeah, that one. And it still resonates, and it resonates when I talk with my daughter, and yeah, and it's in every aspect of your life. Yeah.
But it's true, and I feel like this kind of puts a bow on what has been coming up, is like everyone, male or female, both have, feminine and masculine energy in them. So it's there, you have both, and and I think I'm like with you on this, a lot of more masculine energy, and it's trying to cultivate more feminine to sort of have a better balance. But like, it's all in all of us.
It is all in all of us. And like you were talking about the woman you spoke with before, what's the band called that?
Violet from Destroy Boys.
Oh yes, I love her name. Something I think is remarkable is how this is happening faster for us. That like my daughter's generation, I was training a 15-year-old, and she was like already in therapy, already like open and talking and normalizing like her anxiety and this. And I was like, we've come so far, and I just can't wait to see like how this develops, that like wiser, younger, and more emotionally available. Yeah, it's wonderful. Yeah.
So awesome.
Yeah, it is. Yep.
So the tagline for my business is delay dying.
Okay.
So I like to ask everybody, this is like my favorite question. I get the best answers. I like to say, if you had to give someone advice on how to delay dying, or in other words, live a happier, healthier life, what would you say?
Oh my God. Wow. I'm like, now the pressure is on, because you've had some great answers, but that's have to be the best answer. It's okay. To delay dying, I would say find a way to laugh often. Every day I know that I need to laugh more. And I just know that there's even like science behind that, how important it is to just enjoy and smile, and like just take a little piece of every day, and make it something good. Yeah.
Yeah, it does. I mean, like it chemically affects your body in a positive way, lowers blood pressure, and like it does stuff with your hormones and brain chemicals. So like it actually is, it's actually funny. The Instagram post I just did today, it's on like my wellness coaching. And
Yeah.
it's kind of a silly, like the copy is all kind of silly and the picture's pretty stupid too. And so, but at the end I put wellness coaching with humor because laughter is free medicine.
Yes, yes, absolutely. And when I was in labor, right? What they tend to do is the time clock is on. Once you get in there, they turn on the clock and they want you in and out at a certain time. A lot of it is health reasons, right? But my I wasn't dilating and my water hadn't broke. So I am not in any like I'm not in an unsafe environment that way because my water isn't broken. And but they wanted to do it and they wanted to like advance where I was by with medication and like all these other avenues. And I had taken a class for natural childbirth and they were like, watch a funny movie, allow your body to relax and open. And it did. I dilated within the hour, dilated 2 more. So it actually prolonged me having to do any of those like external things that I didn't want to partake in. And I just thought I thought that's so unique. Isn't that so? I mean, just so interesting that our bodies can do that. So there's a little tidbit about
that's like, I mean, I feel like that's like the best like visual or like explanation to show how what laughing does to your body. I mean, fuck, like talk about relaxation.
Right. You just open those pathways.
Oh my God, that's awesome.
Well, this has been wonderful. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you as well. I love everything you shared. And yeah, I mean, if people aren't feeling inspired, then they just need to rewatch the interview.
Every day